Hello, everyone, and welcome to Innovation in Action. We're really glad to have you here today. Give it about 30 more seconds to let a couple people join, and then I'll begin. All right. Well, hi, and welcome to our Empower Schools live webinar. My name is Matt Matera, and I'm a partner at the nonprofit Empower Schools, and really glad to be here with you today. I'd like to share a big thank you to the amazing guests that we have here live, and also thank those of you who are joining the live stream on LinkedIn. I'm thrilled to have you here with us for this exciting and important conversation. Today, we're talking about innovation schools, schools that are transforming education across the country. At Empower, we believe that innovation schools are one of the most powerful ways communities can take charge of their students' learning. So you might be wondering, what exactly are innovation schools? Here at Empower, we define them as locally designed public schools that remain part of the school district but operate with increased flexibility, which gives them more control over curriculum, staffing, budget, and programming. And these schools aren't going in alone. They have formal agreements with nonprofit partners who provide support while ensuring accountability for ambitious student outcomes. And because these partnerships are deeply embedded in the community, the innovation is not only bold, but also sustainable over time. We believe that schools shouldn't be one size fits all. That's really a core belief here. They need to reflect the needs of their students and communities, which is why we support innovation schools as a model to improve student outcomes and build stronger, more resilient school systems that work well for students, educators, families, and communities. But luckily, you don't have to take it from me. I'm joined by some tremendous educators who have seen firsthand what this combination of flexibility and accountability can achieve. So I'll start by turning it over to the amazing Dr. Priscilla Dilley, who leads the Leadership Academy Network in Fort Worth, which is a partnership between Fort Worth Independent School District and Texas Wesleyan University. Since its launch, the Leadership Academy Network, or the LAN as everyone calls it, has achieved incredible results, which show what's possible when you get great educators and give them the freedom and flexibility to work in deep partnership in community. So I'll turn it over to kick it off to Priscilla. I would love it if you could introduce you and your team, and then I'll ask some questions after that. But I'm really excited to learn from you. I learn every time I talk to your team.
Well, thank you, Matt, and thank you for such a great introduction. I don't take it lightly when, I hear words like amazing, especially from people like you and Empower and others, because that is such an honor to me. But really, truthfully, you're only as good as your team. And so I have here a rock star team that I would love for them to introduce themselves, their names, and their positions within the Leadership Academy Network. Dr. Clark, let's start with you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Whitney Clark. I'm the Executive Director of Academics in the Leadership Academy Network, and thrilled to be with you all today. Thank you.
Julissa?
All right. Hello, all. My name is Dr. Julissa Gomez. I am the assistant principal at the Leadership Academy at John C. White, and I'm extremely excited to be with you all today.
And then the Mary Mosley.
Hi, my name is Mary Mosley, and I serve as the academic content specialist for the Leadership Academy's English department, and its grades second and third.
And I'm Priscilla Dilley, the senior officer for the Leadership Academy Network. We are in year 6 of this journey, which is incredible, of the partnership, and just happy to be here. Thank you, Matt.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, thank you all so much for your generosity with your time. Let's start with the basics. For some of our guests who may not be familiar, can you explain what makes an innovation school different from a traditional public school? What's unique about the flexibility that they have?
Absolutely. So, your intro was great and a good definition of, these are public schools that have a partnership under Senate Bill 1882. school districts get to partner with an outside organization in Texas. That could be a higher ed institute, it could be a nonprofit or an existing charter. And so in our scenario, we have partnered Fort Worth ISD with Texas Wesleyan University to create the Leadership Academy Network. And I think what's significant about that is that we really get to pivot and meet the needs of students. You mentioned earlier curriculum. That is definitely an area that we can look at our data and really respond quickly to what is it that our students need? What do we need to put in front of them? And how can we, extend beyond their learning? Just very tailored curriculum. Staffing. We are able to really look at what the staffing configurations need to meet the needs of our schools. Not every school is the same or has the same needs. And so we're able to really tailor our staffing according to what the data says again. A budget, we can are flexible as far as where we want to invest our dollars and make sure that we are, making those decisions. And, really when it comes to the school calendar, we're able to make sure that we design an appropriate calendar or a school schedule that meets the needs of students. So I think what you see the commonality here is that we really get to tailor our programming, and everything is around the student and the student needs.
That's super helpful. And for those of us who might just be joining, we're here with Dr. Priscilla Dilley of the Leadership Academy Network in Fort Worth, Texas, talking about how innovation schools are leading to tremendous results for the students that she and her team are serving. So thank you so much for that answer. Next question I have is about teachers. Right now, a big conversation around education, always, but I would say even more since the pandemic, is about how we keep great teachers in the classroom. Can you talk about how the LAN is using the Innovation Schools model to promote teacher retention? Are there any specific flexibilities or supports that have made the biggest difference? Because, spoiler alert, I know that your teacher retention is really extraordinary, especially for this day and age.
I'm gonna pass it on to one of the team members to talk about that.
So I'll begin. As a matter of fact, as close as last year, I was actually a teacher in the classroom. This is my first year in this role, and it was afforded to me through the Grow Your Own initiative, which is one of the things that has been really vital. I'll even say in like my success and the success of my students. The Grow Your Own initiative is a mentorship program where no one is left without a mentor. So that starts from the teachers who come in at base level, and then we move up to the lead support teachers, then the academic content specialist, and from the administrative staff. Everyone has a mentor, and that actually really helps. And not only that, but as you move up, you also have the opportunity to actually mentor. So we have those. We also have scholarship opportunities through the Grow Your Own initiatives, where I myself was actually able to receive I will be receiving my doctorate degree at some point, but right now I've already completed my master's degree through the Grow Your Own initiative. And these are all things that I've been able to achieve in the last 4 years through the way that this is structured. Also, I'll quickly say that one of the things that's really important is that your hard work and effort and diligence is actually incentivized not only through the growth opportunities, but also financially. So I think that that's a great opportunity to retain, the best of the best.
Now I would,
Absolutely.
oh,
Go ahead, please go.
But I would love to add to that from the admin points of view. One of the things that we afford our teachers on the campuses is autonomy. So for our teachers, we do know where the research practices are, and we know which teachers know their content, and we know that our teachers know their content. They're experts in the field. So we afford them that autonomy to be able to make necessary changes as long as they fall within the parameters of what the LAN expectations are, the LAN guidelines are. But we give them the autonomy and we listen to them. So we if this is not working out, then we figure out ways as a team. We come together as a school, as a network to decide, okay, this is not working for this campus. So what do we need to do so that we can make it work and so that our teachers' voices are heard? So it is not a, hey, you need to do this. It's more of like, okay, this is what we're going to try. If it doesn't work, let's work together and make that work for our students. We have one of our core values is kids first, and which it is kids first. But as admin on a building, our teachers and our staff are the ones that we need to pour into so that they may pour into the kids. And that is one thing that we always keep in mind is that our teachers and our staff are the ones pouring into our children. So we need to empower, equip, and support them so that they may then turn around and do that job for those students.
Yeah, Matt, I think the last thing that I would add to that is just if you hear, these amazing educators, what they're saying is basically there's growth opportunities for them. They feel supported. The autonomy is there. There is a special attention and really in their growth and development. And so, that leads to close to 90% teacher retention for the past 3 years, which is an amazing number when you think about how you want high quality teachers in front of our students. In addition to that, 70% of our teachers now have a designation with TIA that puts them at the highest performing teachers in the state of Texas. That's phenomenal. So we really pride ourselves in making sure that our teachers have everything that they need to meet the needs of our students.
That's great. And for our non-Texan friends, TIA is the Teacher Incentive Allotment, which is a very competitive program in Texas that recognizes top teachers. So really, again, very impressive. I'm going to run out of big adjectives by the end of this call, but I just love land and I enjoy talking with y'all. Um, so, the reason to have great teachers is for their impact on students. So can you share some of the key student outcomes that have happened since the LAN launched?
Yeah, so I'll take this on. So, we have an A to F accountability system in the state of Texas. And so that's our performance contract is tied to that. So our accountability is top priority to make sure that our schools all reach a letter grade A. So we're working our way towards that. So all of our campuses are turnaround schools. So not only have we seen the impact to the A to F accountability rating at our campuses, that tool is a measurement of both student achievement and student growth. And so we're measuring how are our students comparing to peers of their same age and same grade level, but then also how are they comparing to themselves? So are they experiencing a year's worth of growth? And both of those areas, we track it all the way down to the student level. So child by child. And it's imperative that we have teachers that know that data and they know their students. In networks like ours that have the opportunity to be autonomous and innovative, we get to look at our staffing models to see what's going to be the most appropriate way for us to pair teachers with students that need them and their learning styles. Opportunities to do things like looping up with their students. So currently we have a fifth grade teacher that has looped up twice now with their students. She has the highest growth, not only in our network, but in the district. And that's a direct impact of her knowledge of her students. So what does that go back to is retention of her as a teacher. What is important to her and leads her to want to stay within the network. So how is she being compensated? How is she being supported? What materials and instructional resources is the network providing to her? And then what are we doing to be able to make sure that she knows that she has the opportunity to grow, and then also to look at other career opportunities in.
Oops, I think we may have lost Whitney here for a second, but that was a really helpful answer. And I think just, a great example of how there's such an intersection between the success for educators and the success for students. And I think LAN exemplifies that. Priscilla, is there anything else you'd add before I go to the next question?
No, I mean, I think Dr. Clark said it beautifully. One trend that we have seen in the past, I would say 6 years, is while, we have been looking at our trend data of getting kids on grade level, we have seen our trend go up, as other districts or even the state has taken at times a dip, especially around COVID years. So we're really proud of that trend, and it just says that we're headed in the right direction.
Wonderful. And I encourage people to check out the recently released Leadership Academy Network annual report, which you can find on their website, and includes a lot of tremendous background data and information and shows the continued growth trajectory of students. And I'll editorialize for 1 second and say one thing I admire about these educators that we're with today is that they're definitely not resting on any laurels, right? Like the idea is that there's been really good progress for students in the land, but also that there's a long journey ahead. And they're working really hard to make sure that every amazing student who walks through the doors of a land school is achieving amazing things and has the capacity to chart a course through life that they want to chart. And I think that they've made really good progress, but my hunch is the folks on this call would be the first to say that there's still more to do and that they're very much operating in a continuous improvement mindset.
Absolutely.
Um, Great. So I'm curious, I'm just imagine shifting to this model wasn't without its challenges, right? Because what you're describing, a lot of it is best practices and really smart, passionate education tactics. But also, there's the structural elements we touched on at the beginning. So I'm curious, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way, and if there's anything you would do differently?
Yeah, I want to say in the beginning, we really did not know what we had an idea of what we wanted the partnership to be, but we really had no idea what it was going to lead eventually. So, one of when we established a partnership and even the Leadership Academy networks back many years ago, we had this idea that just because we're going to establish this shiny model that everybody's going to just come running towards this partnership and want to get on board, and in reality that was not what happened. We had about 20% of our teachers that had experience and everybody else was new. And so we had to quickly come up with a teacher development system to be able to say, this is the pathway to get a teacher at the highest performance, and for student performance. And so we had to build this plane as we were flying it. And I hate that saying, but we really just had to do that. And so every year it was just like it was something new and just evolving. So I would say, like, we didn't know what we didn't know, and it ended up working out. But how much more effective maybe if we would have already started from the very beginning with, like, this is what we want to be, and we want to be this teacher development system where teachers really like get grow in their practice. So I think about that, and if I were to ever be a part of a new organization, just saying, like, here's what the end goal needs to be, and really just be super prescriptive about that from the very beginning. I'll also say, there's always challenges of working within two systems. So you have, the university, and then you have the school district, and just really thinking through how can you maximize and leverage both expertises when it comes to the partnership. And so really just being intentional about that and thinking about that. Um, and I think going back and just not assuming that everybody knows about the partnership, and always over and over and over telling your story and explaining what it is and getting, support and buy-in, because it is a very complex thing to wrap your head around, and you can't always assume that people understand and know what you're trying to accomplish. So always speaking the mission, the vision, what we're trying to do, the structure of it, the goals is always, always important from the very, start to, like, even 6 years down the road to where we're at.
That's super helpful. A quick follow-up. What what are the advantages, just because you mentioned the relationship with Texas Wesleyan University, and I'm curious, what are some of the advantages you see by having that be a formal partnership? And just to clarify for people who may not be as familiar, this isn't just sort of LAN and Texas Wesleyan work together with the district. This is actually an official partnership with under Texas's innovation schools law, through which the university has responsibility for the campuses that are part of Leadership Academy Network. And I'm curious what that relationship has brought to the table.
Yeah, it's been super helpful. I'll give you an example, Matt, of, we were really struggling with our bilingual program. At the time, we didn't really have much in the programming to support our dual language students. And so we did go to our professors and ask them for a couple of them who had high expertise when it came to bilingual education, and they actually did some research and wrote and put together a wonderful model for us. We were able to take that model and use it now on the campuses, which is fantastic. It's research based. It came with, a lot of recommendations on how, best to serve our students. And so that was one, small example. We've been able to develop our own teacher residency. So instead of going through, a different organization and then having a middleman, now it's, we have our own residency that we manage, and we're able to craft the programming to exactly what it is that our students need. We've been able to send over 60 of our teachers now to get either a master's or a doctorate. You'll see Mary Mosley and Dr. Julissa Gomez, who are recent recipients of a master's and a doctoral degree. And so, all of those things are super important that we, don't think about when it comes to partnerships, not just with our higher ed, but just outside partnerships with our schools and being able to leverage expertises that are out there. I don't know if the team wants to add anything. Mosley or Gomez?
I will say also through the residency program, that was a really beautiful experience for me to be able to mentor two pre-service teachers that are coming through Texas Wesleyan. And they are both, I had two that were fantastic. And right now they're both in classrooms thriving. And I still am able to have that communication with them. And many of them actually matriculate actually into the LAN network. So we actually are able to retain those students after the fact too. So.
That's awesome. Well, I before I ask the next question, time flies while you're having fun. And so we are actually creeping up toward the end. So if there are any people listening in to this webinar who have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and my colleague will convey them, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. But while we do that, I'll ask, what advice would you have for other folks, whether in Texas or elsewhere in the country, who think this innovation schools idea sounds intriguing and would be interested in exploring it in their community?
I would say do it. Don't be afraid. It is an amazing experience. I think from the district side, sometimes there's a fear of, we won't be able to have any control over schools, but that's not the case in a partnership. It really is a beautiful picture of everybody coming around the table and really just trying to put heads together and hearts together of what we can do for kids. And so do it. Uh, make sure that you are open to what's the latest, greatest out there. What's really moving the needle with kids? What can we try? What can we, not hold back? Don't be afraid. It has been the best, I will say, 6 years of my life, professionally, of just being able to see students, and schools who were once the lowest performing schools in our district, with having to hire 20 teachers every single year, Matt. Um, the on grade level percentages were, terrible. And then now we're having conversations around how do we meet the needs of our high students? How do we make sure that our enrichment program is on par with what it needs to be? That's phenomenal, and so it can truly be transformational.
That's so inspiring. Um, all right, so one question here is about how these flexibilities are like, how do they work in practice? Do you have to ask for permission for them? Like how does this intersect with the actual innovation school law in Texas, which is known as Senate Bill 1882?
Yeah, so I think one of the great things is we're able to outline all of that in a contract, in a performance contract. So, when it comes to, I'll take an example, when it comes to curriculum, we outline that the Leadership Academy Network, we can opt out of what the district is currently using for curriculum and select our own. And so we have done that in different grade levels and different subjects based on what our students' needs. Even like our literacy block or math block might look different than what the district at large is rolling out. And so for us, that's practically how that would look like. Or a school calendar, for example, we might go in and say, well, we're going to bring our teachers in 2 weeks earlier for professional development and then provide them some days off during the school year. And we can do that because we want to front load professional development. So these are all the ways that it could look practically, but it is outlined in a contract that allows us to do those things.
That's great. All right, question from the group. Someone says, "I'm obsessed with talent retention as an employer brand. Where can I learn more about what Land does?"
I dropped in our LAN annual report for last school year, and it details everything from our performance contract to our performance targets and goals, to some of our innovative programming. We have a Friday half-day enrichment program where our teachers get 3 hours of planning while the students are getting enrichment. And so there's a lot to learn about that program there. We don't have enough time today to dive into that. But there's a little bit more about our unique structure and the benefits of both the flexibilities and autonomies within that annual report, and some of our exciting data points as well. You'll find in the back section.
And I'm not qualified really to speak here, but I'll also say just from visiting that there's also such a clear sense of purpose at the school that I think that also really helps. That it feels to me like all of the adults in the building are working hard together to figure out how to support students effectively. And there's this sense of commonality of mission that I think is a common thread between grade schools I've had the honor to visit from Land to other ones, even if they don't share other elements of the program, right? Even schools that might look really different from Land, but are also great. What is the same is that the educators feel like they're in this together, they're working together at it, and they're, empowered through structures like what Dr. Clark just mentioned about the extended professional learning and planning time that teachers get, which is a real gift. All right, well, I am sadly going to have to move to wrap it up here in a second, but I'll ask our friends from LAN, do you have any last thoughts, profound words of wisdom, or other things you want to share before I close it up?
Julissa, you want to start us off?
Well, one thing I would like to share is that I am a product of LAN, so to speak. I did start the program as a classroom teacher, and I was actually at the school where I'm at right now before we were LAN and then after. And the level, first of all, I grew as an educator, and I'm still growing as an educator. I went in to become a master teacher, instructional coach, and now admin in the same building. And the educator that I am today and has only happened because of the growth that I've had these past 6 years in LAN. The way we look at data, the attention that we give to our staff and our students, the way that we break it down, as we were saying, on a student by student level, is to me what makes the change, what moves children. We're looking at data, but we're also looking at the child behind the data. And that's somewhere I think the ball is dropped sometimes in other places. It's like, oh, we're at 40%. Yes, but these specific 5 children moved 10 points from their previous goal. So that may not look like a great number, but have you seen what the child has done? Have you seen the growth that that child has made? In every campus that I can say this because we collaborate a lot. There's a lot of collaboration and growth within LAN. We know our students. We know where they're at. We know where they're going. And so that to me is one of the innovative things about LAN. And it's like you said earlier, Matt, it's best practice, but is it really being practiced? Sometimes best practice is not being practiced everywhere. And so we as a LAN exemplify those core values. Another thing I'd like to add is that Dr. Dilly does a great job of grounding us and setting us on that clear path. We are all speaking the same language when it comes to the network, so we know exactly where we're moving as a network. And that to me makes the innovation part of the network successful. That's where the success and the money comes in. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would say, when you find good people, keep them. And Matt, we have the privilege to work with, not just these amazing educators here today, but we have so many of them who truly love kids, who, have a heart and mission for kids, because this work is not easy. And, the extra pay and the extra things are nice, but, you know, really at the end of the day, it has to be people that are mission minded, who love the work and who love kids. And we are just so, so thankful that we have a network full of them. And, I know that I'm still growing, as a leader and even as a learner, and just super thankful to be surrounded with incredible talent.
Well, thank you. Thank you all so much. Those were great questions. I wish we had time to talk a lot longer. I'm always up for talking with the folks from the land. Thank you all so much for sharing your insights. We've talked a lot about how innovation schools can drive both teacher retention and student success. And I believe and suspect that many of you may want to continue this conversation. And so that's why I want to really invite you to join us for our first ever Innovation Schools Action Summit, where we'll be diving even deeper into how schools and districts are rethinking models to better serve their communities. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening across Texas and across the country. And so I hope you can join us on March 25th and 26th in San Antonio, Texas. We'll be hosted by Texas A&M University San Antonio. Um, and it's going to be a really tremendous event. We have amazing speakers and school visits to some tremendously innovative schools. There will be a land presence at the conference, so you can come and meet some great educators in real life. And I really hope that you can join us. Please sign up. The website is bit.ly/IS Action Summit. Even I can remember that. It's the Innovation Schools Action Summit. So bit.ly/IS Action Summit. And if you've viewed this special webinar, feel free to use the code WEB when you check out when registering for a discount for $50 off your ticket. We'd love to see you there. Please don't hesitate to reach out on LinkedIn or in other ways if you have questions or otherwise want to get in touch. And I thank you very much for your time. Thank you to everyone who is working every day on behalf of kids in LAN who's joined this webinar. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, thank you for the energy and effort that you put forth to help create a better future for our children and for believing in the capacity of our kids to do amazing things. So I thank you for that. I really hope you can join us at the Innovation Schools Action Summit in San Antonio, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.